Okay, Trump just released crazy news regarding the stock market, and honestly, could the stock market crash being a question is honestly just insane that we're having this conversation considering we're at all-time highs. But still, we need to understand what Trump is saying and why this is continuing to cause issues and why you should be cautious still with your money in the market. Okay, so first of all, Trump comes out and basically says we're gonna have a great deal with China, and then literally under an hour ago, President Trump says his scheduled meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, I'm not being racist, I'm just reading it, sorry, might not happen. Like, what is he talking about? Like, what, honest to God? He goes, yeah, I expect a deal, but we might actually not have a meeting. But by the way, if we don't meet on November 1st, we're bumping it up to 155% from 100%. Like, he's just he's just saying numbers at this point. Absolutely crazy to see what's happening there. On the other side of this, you see the White House economic advisor Hassett comes out and says the shutdown could end as early as this week. You're seeing Fed members kind of calling for the end of this as well. Now, is it going to end anytime soon? I'm not going to confirm or say that, but this is the first time you're seeing this kind of get pushed out there. However, every vote continues to fail, and there is no resolution, and Trump continues to point the finger at Democrats. Very important to understand that. So again, has anything fundamentally changed in the market at all? Zilch, zero, nothing. Government shutdown still is in effect. Trade war with China, nothing has changed. Honestly, we've only antagonized them. If you really look at the news, I've been posting all on Twitter. You guys can follow there. But on the other side, we've been preparing, in my opinion, for this trade war to escalate by making deals with Australia and a bunch of other countries. Very important to understand what's happening out there. It's almost like the warning and the writing is on the wall. But that being said, you look at the NASDAQ and NQ futures, we can even go into QQQ. I mean, you're chilling. You're at all-time high. It's like I said, you're holding every support. We highlighted all the big levels here too, so you can see. But now you're pushing back into all-time highs. So again, my notion, my big brain idea here has been make your money in the market and get the hell out. Now, I also want to highlight there's certain parts of the market that aren't doing anything. I.e., example, NVIDIA, nothing. Literally just doing absolutely nothing. AVGO, looks like it wants to break down, to be totally honest. TSM, right? Nothing's, the semis are kind of cooled off. They're doing nothing, just kicking rocks for the time being. Very important to understand. On the other side, the bright side is Apple hit all-time highs on the day once again, so that was cool. But besides that, nothing has really taken place. Very important to understand that. Now, again, I don't want to say, again, the market looks terrible, this and that. The market looks fantastic. Dow hit all-time highs. QQQ's working towards all-time highs. SPY's working at all-time highs. You look good. You're like right there on the cusp of breaking out. So technically speaking, you look great. Fundamentally, everything that pushed us down back here, as you can see, nothing has changed. All those concerns are there, if not highlighted even more. That is the concern for me right now. Now, again, I'm not pushing anyone to short, and I want to make this abundantly clear because people were like getting mad and saying this other stuff. I'm like, guys, I'm telling you right now, where I start shorting the market is bare minimum. You have to break below like 654, 655, bare minimum. Okay. Until then, this is a clear-cut support on SPY. QQQ is even better. Clear as day. Like really like 589, 588, your 50 MA there. You have to break that in order to go short. Until then, you're trading in a range. And I posted this yesterday on, I think, Twitter. But for the bulk, since this dip, you had the one big drop down, and today is when your bigger push to the upside. You've basically sat in a range in between 605 on QQQ and then 595, a $10 range back and forth. You'll see people tweet this stuff out all the time too. And if you if you guys like trading this, like, you do what you gotta do. I just talk about what I'm doing. I talk about what I'm watching, etc. Right? And something that I posted on Twitter, I just want to give you guys a reference point. This is NVIDIA, so this is just a great example. But I posted random people and random traders are always saying, oh, this is perfect action for scalpers, just ranging back and forth. Guys, look, yes, you can make money scalping, but you will notice on this channel, 9 out of 10 times when we take a big trade, when we make a good amount of money, it's not because we're sitting in a box playing ping pong back and forth. That's not why. It's because we're breaking out, we're getting continuation, and we're capturing the big move. Now, again, for me, and I like to be as transparent as possible, giving you guys a reference, going into something like Discord. Today, I looked up trading two things, AVGO and TSM. I basically just stopped out of both of those trades for like 2% loss. I just got tired of watching the trade, but you just did nothing. You're like literally back and forth. But I want to highlight, I am not swinging stuff right now. I'm not going like long overnight, short over. I'm not doing any of that. I am making my money in the market, getting out, sleeping like a baby, and then waking up the next day. Now, on the other side of this, I will say futures trading, that's where you're scalping and making your money, I will say. Pretty nice, not bad, right? We go over all of our levels, what's happening. Now today, again, you're not getting that much action on futures, important to understand. But again, knowing when you get the action, knowing, when you have those opportunities, when to get aggressive, when not, very important to know as well. I will say though, here on the futures chart, I'm giving you a reference, NASDAQ specifically, you had the retest to 25.2, which again was kind of a level that we were rejecting at this entire time, like 25.2, 21, 25.15 in this area. You got that BRB off it and breaking back to the upside. That's the best looking thing out there right now. I mean, obviously Dow broke into all-time highs, like pretty strong, pretty awesome, like a little wick, but still that's where you're at right now. ES trying to work back into 6,800, looks pretty good, pretty decent, sitting at our level 6,783. Now that's the viewpoint broad on the market. SPY, Qs, the works there. Now I'm going to go more into equities. I'm looking at the biggest opportunities. There's a few signs of risk on that are taking place here that I think are worth mentioning, worth watching. And then we also need to go more into what's happening here with earnings. I've been keeping you guys posted, but today's probably the last day we go over some of these earning calls, because again, tonight we have Netflix, we have TXN, and then tomorrow we have Tesla, IBM. We have a lot of names coming up. So again, worth mentioning. And if you have questions, let me know what you think down below. I will say right now, if you want to see what we're trading, how we're trading, the Discord link is down below. Again, we have the starter plan available and the Premier access, which gets you actually to voice chat, swing trades. Again, right now we're just not taking a lot of swing trades, so you're not going to get a lot of those right now. But, so anyways, starters, you're really getting access to everything at this point. So take advantage. The link is down below. You get to see everything, profits, etc. We're all posting there. And shout out to Top Step. If you're looking at futures, we kind of walk you through all that information as well. Now, going into the market, equities, we're looking at what I'm thinking is the best opportunities out there right now. Semiconductors are just in a really weird spot. You kind of broke back out. We talked about this a few days ago, how you were kind of sitting in this like lower high trend you were making here, right? Kind of sitting right there, as you can see. You kind of broke out of that little bump and run. You look decent, still look good on semis. Again, to really get bullish here, NVIDIA needs to break above 184, continuation to the upside. That's what you're looking at right there. AVGO above 344.5, looking back into 356. These are minor levels. I was looking for the scalp to the upside. If you break, you honestly below 344.5, you're looking for the downside. You had a good BRB here. If you break 341, 340, you're looking for 332. Until then, though, what I'd be watching right now, again, biggest things right there. Amazon. I've been in like this love-hate relationship with Amazon, and I want to use one of my like L's for you guys for education. And so I've talked a lot about Amazon, and I think time is just like one of the biggest things right now. But Amazon's just been moving really weird. And I still think it's been one of the best buys. If we're looking at like value wise in the market, Amazon makes the most sense to buy because the Mag 7 is going crazy. And then you have something like, Amazon that's just lagging so far behind, which Google played out. Like a lot of the names we traded, it played out really well. So going into Amazon, but going more into a trade that I traded, right? I've talked a lot about it. I just like to be transparent with you guys. So again, I talk about the wins, talk about some of the losses, right? So this was one of the only swings I was considering getting into, and it was like just going to be an overnight trade, like a 1-2 day trade. And so I'd basically trade, I think this was last week, right? I was going to hold over the weekend. October 24th, strikes 220, which again, really short dated for myself. I usually go way more time. But again, you're above the 200 SMA. It's worth mentioning you ended up dipping back below the 200 SMA. But still, like this ended up playing out, pushing towards 224. Getting time really would have put myself in a better position. And again, like the trade would have made like really good money, almost I think 100% move on those contracts. You can go check them out. I think this week's 220s. But again, just showing you guys what I was looking at, how things went wrong. But Amazon's been one of the better looking names. I'd be really careful as you approach 224, what I'm looking at there. But again, worth mentioning. Meta, a really strong name here right now. Very interesting as it sits at around 730. If you can start breaking and holding 734, looking for 741. Also something really interesting right now. So OpenAI had a live stream today, and they were basically talking about the new release of their new product, which is basically going to be OpenAI's browser, right? ChatGPT browser, whatever it may be, like kind of like Google, but for AI, right? And so Google stock takes a massive hit on the day. You drop from 256 down to 244. You're popping back up to 252, give or take. If you can hold 252, you look get back into highs. But again, you have earnings upcoming, so keep your head on a swivel. You want to see if you can hold this little area, basically like right there, like 251, 252. So far, you are holding it. It looks solid. If you can find buyers, you look good as long as you hold above this. You get below 250, 251, I'd probably be looking for downside towards 240, 242. What I'd be looking at there. Super simple chart. What I'd be watching. Okay. Microsoft continues to reject at 518. Never gets above 518. Looking for 525, 526. Super simple chart there also. Now, I talked about risk on signals that are coming out there. Bitcoin's very interesting with what's taking place and how you're moving right now on Bitcoin. Worth mentioning. So on the daily, again, we saw that drop below the 200 SMA, now holding back over. Really solid. I will say you wicked into your 50 MA near 114K, but again, it's worth mentioning Bitcoin had a monster bounce here on the day so far, right? So basically like 9 a.m. you go from $108,300 all the way into 114, basically flat. So almost like a give or take $6,000 move on Bitcoin in a matter of like 2 hours. And you're kind of coming back down a little bit, but this is what you wanted to see, buyers holding you well above the 200 SMA. That is a good sign. Going into your next thing is IWM, which is still sitting above its resistance, 245. Also a very solid chart in my opinion, right? This is what you want to see. This is what you want to happen. Okay. Now, again, I'm not going to go too much into a bunch of stocks today because I think right now the biggest thing is waiting for these earnings to come out. So Netflix is getting earnings season started. TXN with semiconductors could get us out of this range potentially. So this is going to be a very important overnight session. Definitely going to be watching this. I want to see what Netflix does. Remember, Netflix had a lot of that news come out around being woke, people canceling subscriptions. Elon was tweeting about it. Netflix stocks obviously has dropped, but it's kind of holding up going into these earnings. But I will say Netflix has been one of the better stocks for earnings over the past year or two. And I will say you've bounced pretty good, like from those lows down to like 140, 1140, 1150, bounce back $100. If you start getting above basically 1260, 1265 here, in my opinion, from these earnings, that's what you want to see. I don't think it's worth going long on Netflix pre-earnings. That's a stupid trade. A lot of risk, not a lot of reward. Doesn't make too much sense for me. After earnings, and you can see with Netflix move post earnings, it's been your better opportunities waiting until after earnings. So if Netflix starts to break though tomorrow, anything like that, gets above 1265, 1260. I'm looking for the long towards all-time highs. Until then, keep your head on a swivel. If you actually get bearish here, start breaking back below 1200, you can look for that breakdown to 1175 towards the 200 SMA. I'll keep you guys updated tomorrow as well, but a lot of opportunity here where Netflix definitely going to be watching. I do think Tesla is going to be interesting as well on Wednesday. I'm not going to, again, I want to make it really clear. I am not trading any of these equities, any of these stocks into earnings. It makes no sense. It's a lot of risk, not a lot of reward. They're all pricing in crazy moves as well. Makes no sense to do it. But again, going to be interesting with Tesla because again, you've been just ranging up here near highs, trying to get back towards all-time highs. Again, you go to the daily, and when you're getting this type of action, it has to get you excited. Kind of just like sitting up. You look great. I mean, you're only seeing only $40 away from all-time highs. So again, Tesla looks really strong. You get this out of the way, get any type of good-looking future guidance for Tesla, what they're doing, any of their projects. You start breaking out here. This is going to be the opportunity to get. It makes sense that we're not pushing into all-time highs pre-earnings. It's honestly what you'd rather see if you're a bull. You'd rather get that move after earnings. So again, what you're looking at, definitely a big fan there. And then obviously Intel reports on Thursday. This is the name I'd probably steer clear from right now. Again, is Intel on the path to making a comeback? Potentially. It really is. But the thing to understand with Intel is it's like a lot of promises right now with no results. And I want to make that really clear. There's nothing of substance actually going on with Intel right now. There's no actual money being made. It's all just deals and people taking equity in the company. And those are good people. And this is who you would want to get equity in a company if you are going to bet on their success based on other individuals getting involved. However, it hasn't turned into any money yet. And you actually saw Goldman come out and say they're overvalued where they're at. They're not worth this much, which honestly is not a good sign for Intel. But would I be watching? Would I be tracking there as well? One of the more interesting names here and has nothing to do with earnings is still Palantir. Guys, again, this is still one of the craziest charts in my opinion. And it just amazes me that people aren't talking about it enough. I'll probably make a video about this later on. I don't know, maybe. But again, you're sitting near highs. Palantir looks so good where it's at. God's honest truth. Holding the 50 MA, staying up at these highs, consolidating here. This is what you want to see, okay? And I will say, I'm not turning this into its earnings either. I might scalp it before it, but what I'm looking at, why I'm watching, I mean, this is crazy that some of these names are just consolidating at all-time highs. That's why I would say, like, you look at the market through one lens and like, dude, some of these names aren't moving and not breaking out. But on the other side, you've seen 400 point, 500 point dips, and some of these names aren't even blinking. They're not even like flinching whatsoever. That's kind of the craziest part right now for me. So definitely worth mentioning, worth watching. And again, still has me very excited. If you watched the SoFi video last night too, SoFi still looks amazing above 28.3. What you'd like to see there heading into their earnings. Worth mentioning, Kava is still a really nice name. Some of these mid caps, smaller caps I've been watching. Kava ready to break out if it gets above the 50 MA. Definitely watching that as well. HIM's coming down towards our buy zone. Ultimately, I want to see a 200 SMA touch here. That's the biggest buy you're going to get in your $45 in HIM's. Definitely watching that as well. But again, these are the biggest names I'm watching. So if you have questions, let me know what you think down below. I'd love to answer that. Shorter video here in the day. But again, stay patient right now, guys. Again, you're just getting, you can't make up these headlines. Like, dead serious. You cannot make up these headlines. It's absolutely insane that like Trump just comes out every other day and he's like, yeah, we might have a deal. We might not have a deal. We might crash. I might just annex China to the rest of the world. Everyone needs to stop using the Chinese bank. World Bank, we're going to decouple from you. I'm like, what are we talking about here? Right? Absolutely madness. If you have any questions, comment down below. Updates coming out. Have a good one, traders.